I think it's probably right now to switch to a more leisurely pace and give you the opportunity to say anything you want to say, connect up via this facility, which I'll continue to do, for the foreseeable future or until things change and, I can make myself more useful or whatever. So do let me know how this service can support you best with the right kind of information and the right sort of interchange and support and networking and so on. Talking of which, I'm also involved in a project now. I work for a community-focused social network called OurNet, and we are to face this challenge of people who are not able to work, basically, at least as in get out of the house and work. I've created helped be part of a team that's creating a online networking group. So we'll have a speaker at 11 o'clock every day, talking about what they do and a bit of a Q&A. And often it's something useful in terms of, managing anxiety or, something positive and useful to do with the sometimes chaotic situation that we're in at the moment. A bit of a Q&A with them, and then a chance for people to connect and say what service they're offering online so that we can maintain our livelihoods. So if that's of interest to you, just friend me up on Facebook or send me a message. But 11 o'clock's the time we do that with the speaker. If you want to be a speaker, if you want to come on and say something, that's all good and well too. Let me know and we'll put you on at 11, a bit of a Q&A, and then throw it open to networking, whereupon people can talk about what they do from home, and we can endeavor to sustain and support each other in our livelihoods at the moment, which I think is a really important thing to do, to look forward to the situation as it unfolds and evolves beyond this current emergency. Interestingly, I think I was listening to the radio this morning, staying addicted as I am to English radio, and one commentary I was hearing there was that it's taken about 10 years to recover from the 2008 economic crash. It took 100 years to repay the debt of the Second World War, and the suspicion or the prediction of this speaker, this economist, I suspect, was that it was going to take somewhere in the middle to pay back the amount of money that was going to be needed to sustain the UK, certainly. And help the UK recover from this. Now, to me, it's really odd because, where is this money being borrowed from? Who is it being paid back to? And if they have that money, if that money can be made available at the drop of a hat, and obviously for very good reasons, but it suggests, doesn't it, that there's always a sort of acceptable level of poverty. There's always the money available should it be needed. And then just at the very last moment in an emergency, it's pumped into the economy just to keep the economy going, and then it has to be paid back. And someone was suggesting it was going to take 50 years to do that. Now, to me, that's what needs to change. That's the system that we need to evolve beyond. Okay, because all this money is made up, and it comes from somewhere. We don't know where, really, do we? Does anyone know where it comes from? I don't know. I don't think so. It kind of appears, doesn't it, as extra numbers in bank accounts. If, let's say, for example, a bank agrees to lend you some money, those magical digits appear in your account, and you're able to use those magical digits elsewhere. It doesn't really exist, does it, except as an agreement between people. And we might think of evolving beyond that system, where people just have enough to do what they need to do, rather than there's this sort of magical purse string holder who only at the times of a great crisis says, okay, well, you can have some of this money, you can have some more money, you seem to be in trouble. And then it all goes back to normal of everyone just, that just over broke scenario until the next time. So to me, that's the evolution we're looking at beyond this situation. And one, you could say, this current situation we're in has a lot to do with that, isn't it? There's a lot to do with our precariousness. The reason why businesses are so are struggling with a shutdown is because there are no reserves. There's no resilience. Everyone's sort of just in time. Everyone's on these sort of tight supply chains. There are all these new words now, aren't there, that we never used before, like supply chain, and words and phrases, supply chain, Everyone knows what an epidemiologist and a virologist is now, or thinks they do anyway. The words in common parlance. Um, and yeah, fiscal and quantitative easing, all these phrases are in our consciousness now. Algorithm, that's another one, isn't it? People use the word algorithm like they know what it means, and none of us really know. If someone put an algorithm in front of you, or showed you the formula for quantitative easing, you wouldn't go, oh yeah, I see, that's quantitative easing, isn't it? All that stuff is just this kind of weird, I think, brainwashing to lock us into a strange fiscal system which isn't fit for purpose. It's not, it's not looking after people, is it? It's not taking care of people. And as we could see, sorry that my point of reference is the UK, but the Prime Minister there is talking about saving the economy. He's not talking about saving people primarily. They how they have it, certain types of politicians and most people, really, let's face it, in our world, is that the economy is the thing that feeds and sustains us. And it's not. It's like it's just a mechanism that we've put in the way of connections between people. And now it's like we've got to save the economy in order to save people. You could just go direct, couldn't you? You could cut out the middleman and we can just start helping each other. But we're all kind of afraid to do that, aren't we? Because if I give you my money, I won't have any. And I think, we need to evolve now beyond a situation like that, where realizing, hold on a minute, it doesn't really exist. There's enough to go round, actually. We just need to figure out how to share it. And the money system hasn't really been a very good, or the money system as we know it, the one that's developed in the last few centuries, couple of centuries, certainly in the one that we've been using in the last few decades, doesn't really work. And my metaphor for it is that it is like, an elderly person at the moment. The most vulnerable people are the ones with underlying conditions who might catch the virus. That's the same as the economies of the Western world. They are a sick patient already. They were sick already, the economies. They had underlying conditions, and now the virus has come along and just laid them flat out, and they're on life support. And the magic money trees are the equivalent of adrenaline and ventilators and stuff. And it just looks like the economists and the politicians are sort of standing over these old carcasses of economies, giving them CPR until their ribs break, basically. And, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It makes sense whilst people keep talking about it and using that particular context or frame of reference to talk about it. And you know what, in the UK, don't worry, because we're going to lend you some money to get out of this. And, for me, I just don't think that's the right way forward. And I'm banging the drum here and I'm going on about it because no one else seems to be talking to me. I know people are tuned in, and it may be that you don't feel shy or unwilling or whatever, or you prefer to listen and not to participate. That's fine. But whilst you're not doing that, I'm carrying on, at least for a little while. So that's the situation I think we find ourselves in. So we need a new system. We don't really need clever ways of perpetuating this system, because this current system, the sort of neoliberal capitalist economic system, isn't working. Clearly it's not working, is it? It wasn't working before this, and the virus has kind of exacerbated and exposed its worst weaknesses, its underlying health conditions, if you like. So we I think the conversation needs to be about that. Whilst we're all at home thinking about what we are going to do, what we are doing, jigsaw puzzles, whatever, refamiliarizing ourselves with family and so on, who we haven't seen because we've been so busy working. The other piece could be, or one of the other pieces could be, is envisaging a new economic system. The one that where, wouldn't it be a great economic system where all the benefits we're experiencing at the moment, like being with loved ones, wherever possible, obviously the immediate family. I know we, in the way we live now, we have far-flung loved ones. I do, and I'd like to be nearer to them, but that's not how it is right now. But have my immediate young family around me, and it's great that I'm able to spend so much time with them. And the only reason I can't often spend a lot of time with them is because I have to be busy working. Daddy's got to go now and stare into his computer again for a bit more. Wouldn't it be amazing if we had an economic system where all the benefits we're feeling, and I think, some of us will continue to feel as we're in lockdown and social isolation, if we had a system that supported the best aspects of the situation at the moment now, rather than coaxing and easing us out of our homes again and away from our families and loved ones back into this, soulless world of work. Because, I think if you ask most people, the ones who go out every day, to scrape a living. You know, the kind of archetypical one at the moment are those people who have to pay to work. You know, the van drivers are in those franchises where they have to go out and work all day long and more, basically. And they pay the company, do they, for the privilege of doing that? Some people in service industries do that as well, don't they? Pay for their pitch, you know, and they just earn the extra. They pay everything to the establishment, and when the establishment's paid, they get their tips or whatever. There's all these sort of gig economy things going on, where you have to work really hard to earn a meager living. Nothing's guaranteed, no security, and you're out all day, and there you are, away from your loved ones, just to look after your loved ones who you don't see anymore. That's not a sensible or healthy or even sustainable system, is it? You know, no wonder we have so many sort of mental health issues and other health issues going on when our working world is, like, you know, obsessed and addicted to the economic machine, that economy thing. And like I said before, the economy is the bit that was supposed to make it easier for us, okay, not make it harder for us. It was meant to facilitate the exchange of goods and services, such that everyone, I think, you know, wouldn't we want that everyone could have enough so that they're not stressed and ill and not with their loved ones and causing social chaos and deprivation and the other kind of, you know, social isolation, the involuntary one where, you know, people are atomized, you know, people are atomized across society because of the economy, because of the way the economy works, you know. And there's so much, I think there's so much going against it rather than so many ticks for it. It's just that we're so addicted and habituated to having the economy the way it is, and it's only one way. It is a story, it is a version, and we can disrupt it, we can reiterate it, we can reinvent it, and we can evolve it. I think I'm going to leave it there for today because it's just me ranting on now about the economy. But, you know, suffice to say that this might be the silver lining of this terrible cloud at the moment, that we can reconsider the economic system, the one that's caused us so much pain before this situation and has been made worse by the coronavirus event phenomenon, and seems to be crashing the economy and revealing it as a sick patient with underlying health conditions that, in my view, needs convalescence and retirement, arguably euthanasia, and something better and more fit for purpose to come in its place. And, you know, where are the leaders who are talking about that? The leaders at the moment are talking about how to keep the sick patient alive, the sick economy alive. They're not really thinking of anything new to put in its place. I think universal basic income would be a really useful thing at the moment. There are governments around the world, aren't they, who want to do their own quantitative easing and just give people money, which I think is a good thing. But the problem is with that is they still have their hands on the tiller of the economy and centralized control. We need to get back, I think, to local community control, and maybe that's another aspect of what will happen here, is that local leaders will emerge in this situation to say how they want their local lives managed, run, and how people be looked after locally, rather than from these distant ancient buildings in the capital cities telling people, you know, this is what you'll be doing, telling people they don't even know, telling towns they've never been to how to behave. I think the people on the ground, towns where they live, know what goes on in their towns and how best to manage those situations. And it's the elders, isn't it? The elders who are being locked away, imprisoned in their own homes, who have all that knowledge and wisdom, who we could perhaps tap into and rely upon for guidance and leadership. But, you know, the oldies are being victimized, and they infantilized and locked away and not taken seriously, not honored and valued. So here's an invitation to the elders and oldies as well. Step up, guys. You know, talk to us through these means. If you can't talk to us over the garden fence or through the letterbox, a socially safe distance, get onto social media and the internet. Somebody young will show you how. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound so patronizing. That was a joke. But come on, elders needed now. Elder wisdom required now. Rather than, you know, a lot of the politicians are actually children, really, aren't they? Children in men's suits. They don't sound like authoritative statesmen, like mature, able people to me. They sound a lot like they've been to media training school or whatever. And I'm talking a lot about the UK, of course, because that's what I'm used to. So elders, come on, step up. Let's hear you. and let's lead us out of this rather challenging situation into a brighter future, will you? And be part of the imagination, the evolution. You know, the youngsters are good with their imagination, and the things they can come up with in their minds, in their young, agile, and imaginative minds, and mix that with elder wisdom and leadership, and we've got something useful on our hands. So I'll leave you there with that thought. Do stay in touch socially at a distance on the Stay Positive Portugal Facebook group, where we've got a few lovely people, and their loveliness is becoming ever more apparent as they're locked up at home and their only outlet is social media, and how to deal with this crisis. And some lovely things are happening in communities, as well as the terrible pressure and challenge that's being felt as well by the COVID event phenomenon. I'll leave it there. Take care. Bye for now. I'll be back in the morning. If you want to do without all the ranting and opinion, just check in for the first part of the live stream, where I do my best to update you about what's going on in Portugal in the English language. And then we can go into more of this kind of editorial sort of stuff, opinion stuff afterwards. Take care. Bye for now. All the best. Look after yourselves, and be an asset to your community. Bye.